Hello, hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game. And today I'm taking a look at a deck from the professional player Strifecro. This is a Murloc Shaman deck that utilizes the new card from League of Explorers, Everyfin is Awesome. So I'm calling it the Everyfin Murloc. It's a pretty traditional Murloc deck along with some other new cards from League of Explorers that have made Shaman pretty viable as an aggressive style deck. So it combines a few of those aggressive cards like Tunnel Trog and Totem Golem, along with a slew of Murloc minions that play in a traditional Murloc style, which is to say swarm the board, buff each other, take advantage of extremely aggressive Murloc synergy, and hope that you can end the game very, very rapidly by simply overwhelming your opponent with Murlocs. Now, the thing about Murloc decks is normally they require you to draw things in a convenient order. So you want to get kind of your value Murlocs first, and then you're buffing Murlocs second, and then your card draw Murlocs later. And you want to have big sweeping turns. If you draw things out of order or don't get to use buffs, Murlocs on their own are pretty terrible. So the deck can tend to fall apart if things come in a bad order. But otherwise, it can be insane if you do it well. And with Sir Finley Murgleton, another new card from League of Explorers that allows you to change your hero power, in instances where you're able to get the Warlock hero power life tap, that can really help you refill your hand and draw into additional Murlocs, along with your Siltfin, Spirit Walkers. So between that, you can actually make this a slightly more mid-rangey Murloc deck. Everyfin is Awesome also gives you a little bit more reliability. It looks like a 7-mana spell, but in reality, it can be much, much cheaper. You can cast it for 3 or 4 sometimes. So this is the Everyfin Murloc deck. I just want to run through it real quickly, card by card, to give you an idea. We're not going to spend too much time on the cards. I really just want to get into a game and see this thing in action. But real quickly, Murloc Tiny Fin, of course, is just your instant play Murloc that's available any given turn to just help you load up the board. Rock Biter Weapon can allow you to clear some scary stuff, but really it's there for damage and combos with Doomhammer. Grimscale Oracle is a nice buffing Murloc, but as a 1/1, it dies so easily that it can be expensive, so that's why there's only 1 in the deck instead of 2. Murloc Tidecaller is another cheap Murloc, but this time with a little bit better body and the potential to snowball out of control thanks to an attack buff if you have tons of Murlocs. Sir Finley Murgleton, of course, is the newest Murloc from League of Explorers. He's got a really nice body that's great for setting up future buffs, and also the battlecry is insane, especially for Shaman, who traditionally has kind of the worst hero power in the game that allows you to get something a little bit more consistent or valuable. Tunnel Trog, another new League of Explorers card. This is really your just hyper-aggressive 1-mana minion that can swarm up to like a 5/3 and just do tons of face damage. Ancestral Knowledge is an additional way to refill your hand, because this deck definitely dumps stuff onto the board and empties their hand. So the Overload also helps you proc Tunnel Trog, which can be nice as a 1-2 punch. Bluegill Warriors, just charging Murloc, helps you build up the board and look for damage. Murloc Tidehunter is another Murloc. This time it's 2 bodies attached to 1, so it's really great for comboing with buffs. Puddle Stomper, just another Murloc body. This is a pretty generic one from Goblins vs. Gnomes. But it's got a nice stat alignment that makes it pretty aggressive and can push out some damage. Totem Golem is not a Murloc, but it is a totem that's got really nice stats for its mana cost, and the Overload can definitely combo with Tunnel Trog for a nice turn 1, turn 2 if you want to save your Murlocs up for a big dump on turn 3 or 4. Sometimes you can do that and still get a nice early start thanks to those 2 cards. Cold Light Oracle, of course, is not a great body for 3 mana, but being able to draw 2 cards and deposit a Murloc at the same time can be huge. Cold Light Seer, this is where we start to get to the kind of strong Murlocs. Really nice buff that gives everything on the board already 2 health, and the 2/3 body is not too bad for a 3 mana card. Murloc War Leader, it's really the best Murloc in the whole Murloc set. All your other Murlocs gain +2, +1 in a persistent fashion, so as long as this is on the board, whether you've already played it or you play it next, everything's going to get buffed. And a 3/3 for 3 is not too bad anyway, so even the generic body on this is fine. Old Merc Guy, of course, is the Murloc finisher, has +1 attack for each other Murloc on the field. So if you have 5 Murlocs, this can be a 7/4 that pushes face for tons of damage. If you have like a Murloc War Leader, it's a 9/5. If you have 2 Murloc War Leaders, right, it's like an 11/5. That's your big finisher that can just push out insane amounts of damage. The Siltfin Spirit Walker is a Shaman-specific Murloc from Goblins vs. Gnomes that's kind of been sitting and not being used a lot, but this deck finally gives it a home. Anytime you kill a Murloc, this allows you to draw a card. This also has Overload, so it can combo with Tunnel Trog in an okay fashion. So this has a couple different uses in this deck. It's basically a Cult Master, but specifically for Murlocs. Your Doomhammer is a way to look for extra damage. Of course, this thing has 16 damage attack to its base stats. When you combo with Rockbiter, it can be even more. So this is a late game rescue type card. If you have no other way to kill them, you can draw Doomhammer and still find some way to get lethal. And finally, Everyfin is Awesome, the new card that gives this deck its name. Gives all your minions +2/+2. Now keep in mind, that's not just Murlocs, even though it's got Murloc art. That's also totems and your Tunnel Trogs and everything else. So even if you've only got a handful of Murlocs, but 2 or 3 totems and a Tunnel Trog, which can happen, this is still valuable and still relatively efficient card, because it might be like 5 mana but buffs everything. So Everyfin is Awesome. We're just running one of those. So there you have it. That's the Everyfin Murloc from Strifecro. Let's just go ahead and take this deck into action. I would spend some time discussing the mulligans, but really it's pretty simple. Look for your 0 mana Murlocs and your 1 mana minions. Don't look for Rockbiters. If you have a nice curve of something that makes sense with buffs, keep that curve in the mulligan, but toss anything back that's expensive and always dig for those 1-drops. So we're going to go ahead and take this into ranked play just to see how it does. Do keep in mind this is pretty early in the season, so although we're at rank 13, there are still a number of legend level players playing at this rank and kind of scrambling up the ladder and climbing. So I'm not much of a Murloc deck player, I will admit. It's going to take me a little bit of practice and refining to make sure I get the order on these Murloc plays right. And this is not the kind of style of deck I like either. I really do traditionally prefer slower control style decks, so I don't like stuff that just is super aggressive and high risk, high reward. But we'll see how we do. Here, these are all too slow. They're really nice cards, but we want them later. Since we do have the coin, I'm willing to keep the Totem Golem just in case I have to coin it out on turn 1 if I don't have another play. But I really do just hope for one of those 1-drops. This is just a backup. Okay, so we have some pretty interesting options here. We're going to play the Murloc Tiny Fin and Tunnel Trog unless he does something crazy that discourages that. We could actually play the Tiny Fin and the Tide Hunter, but we could also just play the Tunnel Trog and play the Totem Golem with a coined out Rockbiter. I can also just kill that now with a Rockbiter, which I think actually makes the most amount of sense. So we can do this, we can do this, and then we can coin out the Rockbiter, just because that's a pretty significant threat to our Murlocs. We don't want that causing trouble. We still have options for turn 2. We're probably going to play the Totem Golem instead of the Murlocs right now, just because these two have synergy, and we can save this up for future Murlocs, right? So if we play this now, it might never get buffed. It might die too easily. It's just riskier to do it that way. Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and play the Totem Golem. This does overload us for 1, so next turn we're only going to have 2 mana, but we still have a play, so that's okay. And it buffs this. We could make this trade, but if we do, he can ping off our Tunnel Trog. If we don't, he can kill the Tiny Fin, and this is still alive. But we're really not too worried about his secrets either, so Maybe it is better to make this trade, because he's not going to benefit from like a mirror entity. We don't care about that. It's going to be low tempo for him. Or counterspell. There's almost nothing that advantages him. So this might be one of the few times it actually makes more sense to clear that minion. Oh, that's perfect. He vaporized a 0 mana Murloc. Vaporize. I don't know what deck this is. You don't typically see Vaporize, so this is going to be interesting. But if he does have to ping this off, he's wasting a lot of mana to kill that 1 mana minion. That's a pretty good play. Sets up a favorable trade, but we're not going to make it for him. Here we're going to play the Tidehunter instead of the Puddle Stomper because we have a buff that can hit twice instead of once next turn. And although he can ping these off and trade, so if we play this right, he can run the 3/2 into the 1/1, and this is alive, and he can ping off the 2/1. So maybe it's actually better to play the Puddle Stomper just because it leaves him in a more awkward position. He's also going to want to kill this, so I think we wait to combo this where we can guarantee the health buff, because he has Arcane Missiles and pings and so many different ways to deal with it that I don't want to just send it out there to die for free, because we could make it 3 health minions with this right here, this combo. Here he's got a choice. He doesn't know what he wants to kill probably, but he can probably just kill both. He fireballed a Murloc, 2 mana Murloc, so he is making some really aggressive tempo type plays, right? So we're still gonna probably leave this alive. He doesn't have much in hand to benefit from it. He's making really aggressive plays. Actually, I take that back. We're gonna kill it because we have so many options next turn if these things live to benefit them that I don't want to risk him having plays to kill them. I don't know if that's right, but it feels right. I don't think he has a way to deal with these, so we can just Murloc War Leader, for instance, and do some crazy stuff. I wish we had 6 mana this turn, because these two together would be nuts. As it stands, we can kill that with just 1 minion, which is nice. Okay, so that's going to be a great follow-up, actually.
Job's done.
Okay, so if our War Leader somehow lives this through this turn, we're in a really nice position. But even if we're not, we still can play both of these. Oh, actually we can't because we're overloaded. But all right, that's a pretty big miss on that flame cannon. Oh, this is good. So we can create 2 5/5s here with our Murloc War Leaders together, or 5/4s, excuse me. Is he out of options here? So we're gonna have 4 mana. We can play the Murloc Tidecaller, buff it with the War Leader. Yeah, that's our play. This is even this only gets punished really hard by Flame Strike, but hopefully, I mean, we're only 12 cards in. He does have the mana for it, but I can't imagine he has it in 4 cards. Okay, no Flame Strike. That's great news. Oh, yeah. So we had 16 damage on board. I don't even know what his life total is at, but he just saw that one storming out of control, and he's right, because we had the bluegill as well for lots of damage. He was rightfully nervous. He made a lot of plays that sacrificed like a fireball for a Puddle Stomper and a Vaporize for a Tiny Fin. That one wasn't intentional, but he gave up a lot of value there against our cheap Murlocs, so he probably saw that one spinning out of control pretty quickly, and rightfully so. Here we have a pretty nice curve that I think I'm willing to keep, and we're going to throw back the Totem Golem and look for more Murlocs. This is Shaman, so it's probably going to be an aggressive Shaman. If we force him to kill off Murlocs early, we might be in good shape. So we can actually coin out both of these 1/3s, which we might do. He didn't have a turn 1 play, so I think we're gonna coin out both of the 1-mana minions. So we don't want armor up, right? It's not aggressive enough. We probably want to get the rogue, just because that'll make Rockbiter better and more damage for less mana than is Druid. We're just going to go ahead and make this play since we have a curve. We can guarantee we can kill something if he plays it, thanks to Rockbiter or even our weapon. I think we just have to ignore that right now and play minions. He's going to have a tough decision here to which thing he kills. Hopefully he kills the Tunnel Truck, but he probably won't. He'll probably kill the Puddle Stomper. Okay, that's a pretty slow play for him. Very low tempo. We can keep both of these alive. Yeah, he made the wrong decision there. It's unfortunate for him. I think we just have to do this and make the trades. We'll have the Slit Fin next turn. Silt Fin. I always get that backwards. Silt Fin next turn if we need to draw more cards. We could use the Rockbiter and Totem Golem here, but when there's 2 Murlocs on board already, I think I like this better. It leaves him in an awkward position too. I don't think I care too much about protecting the Sir Finley, because 5 damage is nice, but I'm a little worried about Lightning Storm. It seems like he's a little bit slower, so he might have a Lightning Storm that really punishes this, especially because we left this trade open here. Doesn't look like he had the Lightning Storm, so that worked out okay. So for this one, I think we have 8 damage plus 6 damage. We actually have quite a bit of damage, but we can use this damage anytime. I think this is a great opportunity to play the Silt Fin and actually clear this off. This Totem Golem threatens our very valuable Murloc War Leader, so we can get double value here. We can protect our War Leader and we can draw a card off of this, which is very nice, and that would be an amazing follow-up turn. So now even if he finds a way to kill this, it's going to benefit us because of the Silt Fin. These are 2 reasonably solid bodies. He's only got 4 mana, so got to get another very slow play for him. Okay, we might... let's see. That might give us lethal. 7 damage here. This will be 4 because it's buffed. That puts us at 11. Plus 6, where we go to 17. So we don't actually have lethal yet. We're gonna do this because it's just so good. And then we're gonna use we don't actually have to use a Rockbiter to kill this, do we? I think we're just gonna go. Yeah, we actually are, just to preserve our board. It's so strong that I can't imagine him having an answer, and it's not worth the risk. We still have tons of damage. He's down to 13. We have so many ways to kill him right now, and the board is so strong, I don't want to risk it. It's not like a Bloodlust, you know, you never know. Leaving a minion on board for Shaman is very risky.
What to do?
I think he's really searching, but I don't see how he's going to find an answer here. We have at least 6 damage available via Bluegill Rockbiter weapon. So we had to hex that. It must feel pretty bad, hexing a 3-mana minion. That doesn't really help him any. 4 plus 6 is 10 damage. Does that do it? It's 4, 7, 8, 10. We have 12 damage. Actually, no, we don't, because we don't have that much mana. We're gonna draw with one of these bluegills just to see if we can find an answer and reveal this minion. Because remember, we have these draws available. So he didn't, so just gonna load up the board here, and he's still got some tough decisions. That's so hard for him to kill that he might just give us a ton of cards by killing these. We still have a lot of damage in hand, and he has very low life. We could have been more aggressive there and pushed face, but since we still have some cards available and burst damage too, I don't think it's necessary to go all in. Lightning Storm punishes a little, but still I think this has to live, so he might draw us 3 cards if he does that. So there's 1 card. This is so good in this deck. Oh, so see, yeah, he's just he had to make a very strong play normally, but in this world it just won't do. So let's do it this way. This is the most fun. And the Murloc Shaman wins again. Everyfin Murloc Shaman is nice. Alright, let's play one more game. Let's see if we can't lose a game to show how this deck can miserably fail. I'm not going to try to lose, but sometimes you can just draw everything out of order and they'll have the right answers at the right time, and you don't always get such beautiful curves and nice results. He unfortunately had those 2 Jeweled Scarab turns, which are nice for Shaman to set up later, but they're so low tempo for him at the moment. He just doesn't develop any board presence. Okay, there's our card. First time we've seen it, but we don't like any of this stuff. I think I have to keep the Puddle Stomper just to guarantee that I can turn 1 coin Puddle Stomper, but I don't really like to see any of this. Paladin doesn't have anything so scary that I feel like I have to keep Rockbiter. Against Druid, I might keep Rockbiter for Darnassus Aspirant, but even a Knife Juggler is probably not that hard for us to deal with. It'd been nice to get the coin every turn. Okay, so this will work. We can Tunnel Trog. We can Puddle Stomper. If it looks like it's going to be safe, we can War Leader. If not, we might want to Cold Light. I think we're just going to do this since we have such a smooth curve. Gives him a tough decision to make if he wants to find an answer. Paladins have a tough time clearing this kind of thing anyway early. Until they get to 3 or 4 mana, they can't really hit minions very well. I don't think we're going to do the work for him here by killing that. We're going to make him... Actually, I may take that back. He's going to want to kill this one, right? So... He can't coin out Consecrate next turn, so... I'm just going to do this to be safe. Because we have a pretty good set of plays. We can War Leader into Cold Light.
Follow the rule.
Okay, that's not actually too disastrous for us. I think I still make this play. The only thing this gets punished by is True Silver Champion. Maybe I don't. Maybe I make this play. Maybe I make this play. If I play this, we can kill that Aldor, but he can run a True Silver into this very, very easily. I think I just do this instead and force him to make some awkward stuff, but I almost hate to give him answers. If I do this, it preserves my Murlocs, except for this Murloc. Preserves 1 Murloc. I could Finley in Hero Power, but none of the Hero Powers I could get are that great. I think I'm going to play the Cold Light, because this stuff could happen on like turn 7 and we can have a crazy strong play. I hate to give him more cards. This also is weak to Consecrate, but he had a pretty good 2 and 3 play. So that's not that great for him. That's pretty good, actually. He's really building a nice board here. So, I think I still want to build to a really big turn instead of trying to catch up the board right now. So in other words, we're pretty far behind at this point, which means there's two routes of play, two lines of play. We can try to catch up right now, contest the board right away, or we can kind of sacrifice a little at the moment and set up for something like Sir Finley into War Leader into Cold Light into Everyfin is Awesome, like on a turn 7 or a turn 8. It's unlikely he's going to kill us really rapidly, so we might just be able to sneak by for a while. That's a pretty powerful combo. I'm going to kill this just to make it more awkward for him. I could play the Sir Finley now, just because it trades so well into this stuff. And it might give me a useful hero power. I think I'm gonna do that just because it contests the board. I kind of want to save it for a big turn later since he's cheap, but we have other cheap Murlocs we can work with. I had to hurry there. I kind of didn't want the weapon because we have the Doom Hammer, but I don't know. It's the most reliable in general beyond the Warlock hero power. Oh, goodness. Okay, okay. He just buffed my Murlocs, thank you. I guess it doesn't really matter too much, but it could make a small difference. So it looks to me like he's running this Paladin one-turn kill deck where he gets to turn 10 and plays Everyfin is Awesome and summons all of his Paladins that have died. So he summons like 2 of these and a couple Bluegills and a old Murkai, and it's like a huge one-turn kill burst damage scenario. Which is actually a really good, really interesting thing to do, but...
I wonder.
So, we're not really afraid of dying or anything yet. He has a zombie chow out. I need to start doing some damage to his face. I'm not in a hurry, again, to play all my Murlocs. I have a pretty powerful combo with the Rockbiter, so if he doesn't have like a taunt or something to slow us down, I can do 10 damage at any given point. So I'm kind of looking for a late game, oh crap, you're dead play that he's not expecting. The problem right now is I don't really have any good plays. Could take him to 13. Could take him to 11. That would put me on a draw for lethal with...
What to do?
That actually wouldn't put me on a lethal draw at all. He has 6, 7, 9, 11, 13, 14 damage available. If he plays a True Silver, he has exact lethal. Does that mean I have to kill the zombie chow? I hope not. I don't think I can play around lethal. I can play this bluegill,
There is little time.
but I think I want to save it. You just don't have a great play here, unfortunately. We might just be dead, but I think I have to risk it. I think I just have to look for a lethal scenario. We could do 16 with Rockbite, double Rockbiter. That's 2 mana. We'd have lethal next turn if we drew a Rockbiter and he doesn't taunt or heal. So he's deciding to clear instead of go face. That's interesting for us. Buys us more time to find lethal, which is good. 11. He has 12 right now, so I may have to... Oh, he had lethal. He missed lethal. Yeah, he just missed lethal. He had it, I think. He had 14 with the other weapon, which means he had 13 without it, which was 17 with the True Silver. So... I'm not on a lethal draw here, unfortunately, but I think I can maybe stay alive. It's 5 mana. That puts us at 12. Oh, I may not be able to stay alive. I don't think I can stay alive. I don't have lethal, right? It's 10 plus 4. No, I have 14 damage. He might miss lethal again, though, so we're gonna play for lethal. I mean, so I have to do that. I really wish I had a play here, but I can't hero power. He probably sees it this time. He's got 14 damage. If he doesn't see it, he's silly. He missed it last time. He sees it. Okay, so that is what it looks like when the Everyfin Shaman loses. Or Everyfin Shaman, excuse me. I get those mixed up. So, I don't know, that game we might have tried to be a little more aggressive and different line of play could have led us down a better path. I'm not sure. Everything felt a little bit awkward. He had some really strong early minions that traded well. I maybe should have just ignored them and gone face more aggressively, but I was worried about things like Consecration. And I don't like to leave stuff up against Paladin unless I have to. But anyway, you can still see the deck is really competitive and can do absolutely insane things. Dropping that, I think it was a 10 damage or 11 damage old Merc guy was pretty nuts. And that kind of thing happens pretty often with the Everyfin Murloc. I think Strifecro has put together a really surprisingly consistent Murloc deck, which is a pretty rare thing to do, and it's one of the more fun decks to play so far out of the League of Explorers era. So I do encourage you to give the Everyfin Murloc a try. If you have any questions about the deck, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll be happy to answer, maybe suggest some replacements or questions about specific lines of play you might have encountered. Thanks so much for watching. Have fun playing this deck out there on the ladder. And until next time, game on.